financial fallout from COVID-19. Ontario is staring at its biggest deficit in its history, $38.5 billion, almost double from March. The finance minister says Ontario is in a recession and believes the rest of Canada is as well.
While the current level of government spending and deficits are not sustainable over the long run, they are necessary today. Necessary to respond to the health crisis. Necessary to get people back to work. Necessary to provide families relief, and necessarily to safely reopen our economy.
The province's COVID rescue package is $30 billion. Finance Minister Rod Phillips says it took 88 months to recover from the recession in the 90s, but they're cautiously optimistic Ontario's economy is starting to bounce back more quickly than expected, while acknowledging there are tough times ahead, particularly in the hospitality industry. Remember, this is a government that was bent on balancing the books and was on track to do so in 2 or 3 years. The Premier says he is not going to raise taxes to tackle the record deficit.
I just don't believe in raising taxes. We can stir the economy and get things back on their feet.
The Canadian Taxpayers Federation is slamming the Ford government's record deficit for failing to cut the fat. And on the opposite end of the fiscal spectrum, the NDP is slamming the government for not spending enough, particularly on education and the safe school return. Meanwhile, parents staged a protest at Queen's Park today, setting up a mock classroom of 30 students to show how physical distancing will be very challenging without a cap on classes. And today I asked the Premier if he would consider a phased-in return to school. Annie Kidder from People for Education is calling for one. It worked in Denmark. They had younger grades gradually go back first with class sizes of 12. Then high school students returned a month later. Listen to Doug Ford's answer.
Do you think that's a good idea? Would it give parents more peace of mind?
Well, I have an opportunity. It's funny you mentioned that, Cynthia, because I had a good conversation with an MPP that suggested that too, to phase it in similar to the opening that we did, the reopening of the economy. But we have to be flexible. We have to be able to sit down and listen to everyone, and that's what we're doing.
Okay, so he didn't really answer the question, but he didn't outright say no either. The Premier promised his education minister will be making an announcement in the next couple of days. Doug Ford isn't saying that it will actually be a significant change to the back-to-school plan, but he promises it will be great for teachers and students, something we will definitely stay on top of.